From America's heartland, it's Prodigy Bowlers Tour, celebrating junior bowling and elevating junior bowlers. Today, episode 171, the 2024 Kansas City Open Invitational. 5 players have qualified for the TV finals, but only one can claim the Division II championship today. Let's meet the 5 finalists. Bowling in Match 1 is the number 5 qualifier, Ann Harms of Kansas City, Missouri. She'll face the 4 seed, Ethan Gonzalez of Kansas City, Kansas. The winner of that match will challenge the 3 seed, Lane Gosser of Baldwin City, Kansas. That winner will meet the number 2 qualifier, Jonas Tucker of Liberty, Missouri. And the winner of that match will bowl for the championship against Peyton Tryon, also of Liberty, Missouri. He's our tournament leader. One of these 5 young athletes will claim the Division II championship today at the 2024 KCO Invitational and will sign the coveted trophy pin on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. We welcome you to Olathe Lanes East in Olathe, Kansas, for our final Kansas City Open telecast of the 2023-24 season. The biggest KCO tournament of the year is the final one, the KCO Invitational, where players must have competed in a minimum number of events throughout the season to even be eligible. And at this tournament, about $25,000 in scholarship prizes will be awarded to go along with the approximately $25,000 in scholarship awards that were given out throughout the season, bringing the KCO's total payout for the year to around $50,000. On our last episode, episode 170, you saw the Division I stepladder finals at the KCO Invitational, where Rhett Ryman became just the 2nd player in the 8-year history of Prodigy Bowlers Tour and the first since the show moved to the Midwest to post a natural 300 game with the Prodigy cameras rolling. A thrilling moment for sure, but it still wasn't enough to win as Nolan Nash successfully defended his title. Today, we're bringing you the final KCO Bowlcast of the season as we'll be showcasing the championship round in Division II. You've already been introduced to the 5 finalists. Here's how they arrived. A total of 33 bowlers went to the starting gate this morning, making Division II the largest of the 5 divisions this month. As you can see, it was Ann Harms who got off to the fastest start in the qualifying round, seizing the early lead with a 7:05 series in the morning block. Right behind her was Dylan Pollard, the Dill Pickle. Peyton Tryon, Ethan Gonzalez, and Jonas Tucker rounded out the top 5 in the morning. 2 of the Gonzalez sisters were in contention, tied for 10th. Some other names you may recall seeing on Prodigy before were also in the field, including Jacob Smith in 18th, Braden Ebeling in a tie for 22nd, Brody Hurla, who will be at the Prodigy TOC later this month after having won earlier this season, and Fiona West, who found the winner's circle last season on Prodigy. But as the afternoon round unfolded, Ann Harms fell back from 1st to 5th, just holding on to stay within the cut line. But Dylan Pollard didn't fare quite as well. He dropped from 2nd all the way to a tie for 11th and missed out on the stepladder finals. Lane Gosser made a huge move up from 15th to 3rd, and Peyton Tryon capped off his qualifying round with a cool little 273 game to take over the top spot. And here are the rest of the players who rounded out the final KCO qualifying round of the 2023-24 season. The KCO Invitational, being the final Kansas City Open tournament of the year, is also bittersweet, as it means it's the last time we'll see the kids who are aging out of youth bowling this summer. Here's a list of all the KCO kids who bowled this season and will age out on August 1st. But now it's time for us to get this party started. In match 1 of our stepladder today, it's the number 5 qualifier, Ann Harms, who will face the number 4 qualifier, Ethan Gonzalez. And Ethan, being the higher qualifier, he had the choice of starting lanes, and he has elected to let Ann Harms start the match on the left. Ann will be going to Wichita State this fall to join her brother, who bowls for the team. That one goes a little high. And she's left with the 6-10 spare. As you can see, Ann getting 17 pins of handicap. Ethan getting 8. So we have a 9-pin handicap differential favoring Ann Harms. Both of these two in their final weeks of eligibility as a youth bowler. They'll age out this summer. Look out. Well, that one gets away from her into the moat. So an open frame to start. And as you can see, we take her 8 pins that she got in the first frame, add the 17 pins of handicap to it, and that's how we arrive at 25 in the first. Oh my. Ethan lets that one sail a little bit wide, and now he's left with the 2-4-10 split. You can make it by putting the ball on the left edge of the 2-pin and graze it just right, slide it over into the 10. Oh, and he made a nice run at it, but a little too aggressive perhaps. So that's 8 out. 8 added to his 8 pins of handicap gives him 16 in the first. So we've got the handicap pins all added into the score of both players. So you won't have to add a thing the rest of the way. And Ethan now trying to bounce back. And he gets a light shaker to backdoor the 2-pin. That's one way of doing it. Take another look. Ethan is a big guy, but he's got a very simple game, very repeatable. He's also got a dad, Michael, who's a coach. So not surprising, he is pretty consistent. Now, Ann Harms. And she buries that one in the pocket for 10 back. So both players start open, strike. Here's another look at her second frame toss. She gets that ball a little bit behind her back and then lets it bounce outside on the way down. But she does it pretty consistently, so it works for her. I always ask these kids what they want to be when they grow up. And I'm pretty sure Ann is the first one to tell us she wants to be a forensic anthropologist. Honestly, I'm not even sure I know what that is. So it's a pretty safe bet it's well above my pay grade. A little light with that one. Leaves the 2-4-5. Ann's been bowling since she was 4 years old. She is 18 now. High game of 268. High series of 658. Well, that one doesn't quite get up. So it's another open frame, and that left lane is proving pesky for Ann. Couple of opens over there, and Ethan Gonzalez with a 5-pin lead, working on a strike. He leaves a ringing 10. Ethan's been bowling since he was 7. His high game, a 278. High series, a 705. He's a pretty good spare shooter, I must say. In the times we've had Ethan on Prodigy Bowlers Tour in the past, he has proven to be quite capable with the spare game. His last appearance on the show back in November. Well, he labeled that one, but no dice. The 7-pin stubbornly refuses to go. Ethan's best finish this season at the KCO was last month in St. Joe. He qualified in the 3rd position, finished 4th. There's a conversion of the 7-pin. So he will sit down and yield the lanes to Ann Harms, who will get up on the right lane and do her level best to make amends for that open frame in the 3rd. That's more like what she's looking for. Little light shaker action. Wall shot. And we'll take another look at it here. 5-step approach. Nice, simple, straight approach. Playing up about the 8th board. This one comes in a little light, but she gets the action on the left side of the rack. And this time she follows it up with a good shot on the left lane. So we have our first double of the match now. And with that double, Ann takes the lead. You see how she swings that ball back behind her back, and then it sort of bounces outside and comes through on a different swing plane than the one that it goes back on. Well, that was a pretty good shot by Ethan. Just didn't quite have enough kick at the end to snap out the corner pin. Ethan with a nice straight arm swing. Straight back, straight through. I talk about that all the time on the show, and boy, he's got it. It's probably one of the reasons he's such a consistent spare shooter. So this is starting to look like a pretty typical Ethan Gonzalez game. A little hiccup in the first frame, but then solid 4 frames running. Make that 5 frames running. This is his best shot of the match. Ethan with a 4-step approach, foot perpendicular to the foul line on the slide. And that's just like you'd draw it up. All right. Well, Ann trying to get that turkey up on the board, but instead the 10-pin doesn't cooperate. So her lead shrinks to 6. We've got a tight match. Players on our left You saw Brianna Wanina there. That's Division 5 over there on the left. And to our right, you see Grady Groom. That's Division 4. We'll tell you how their stepladder plays out at the end of the show. And once again, we see one slip off into the gutter on the right side. And did that in the first frame when she had the 6-10. I don't know if that is a pattern with her. I haven't watched her bowl enough to know, but I know she doesn't like seeing it happen. She surrenders the lead with that open frame. She got started bowling on a family bowling outing. Solid strike there in the 7th for Ann. Here's Ann's footwork. 5-step approach. She's a planter, not a slider. Starts it up about 9, and it just stays there at the break point and hooks right in. That was a perfect shot. That'll get Ethan's attention. And this time, Ethan gets that 10 to kick out. So with that, he answers Ann's strike with one of his own, and he puts a double up on the board. Watch the 6-pin. The second one from the right in the rack. It'll go into the gutter and then just bounce out enough to kick out the 10. Beautiful. Well, fortunately, he got that same action on the 10-pin as the 6-pin tipped it out just barely at the end, avoiding the washout. Instead, he leaves just the 1-2. This is a pretty routine, easy spare for a skilled right-hander. I would expect Ethan will have no problem with it. And there you go. Well, Ann says her best moment in bowling is when she got 6th in the Survivor tournament. Well, that's not bad. She's going to do a little better than that today at the KCO, though. No matter what happens, she's guaranteed no worse than 5th. But now she's got another one of these pesky right side spares. She's missed 2 of them already this match, throwing the ball in the gutter. She needs to avoid that fate here to stay within 14 pins of Ethan with 2 frames left. This time she covers it. This is going to be her best finish at the KCO this season. She finished 10th at the March Adult Youth Doubles Tournament, and she also finished 10th at the December Adult Youth Doubles Tournament. But on her own, her best finish back in November when we were at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, she finished 12th. And that was when she was in Division 3. That ball just kind of quit on her. It started to hook, and then it just kind of flattened out at the end. So a 7 count means she surrenders 3 more pins in count, falling 17 pins in arrears if she makes the spare. She may need some help from Ethan here at the end. That's an important spare for Ann. as it gives her a chance here at the end, depending on what Ethan does in the 9th and 10th. And with a possible 195, Ethan going at a 202 pace, but he can put an end to this. Well, not exactly the picture-perfect strike he'd hoped to throw, but it's not how, it's how many. They don't give style points in bowling. Watch this. I think he may have just let his right shoulder outrace his left. Anytime the right shoulder gets there before the left, you're going to pull the ball left every single time. He needs a mark. Well, that should make getting a mark fairly easy. If he misses this, he'll have 190. And Harms can still get to 195 with 3 strikes in the 10th. So Ethan needs to cover this spare. And there it is. He'll just need some count now. He needs 4 pins. I think he can probably handle that. There you go. A wall shot strike will do the job. And Ethan Gonzalez has won the opening match and will move on to face the 3 seed, Lane Gosser, as Ann Harms will finish out. Pretty good ball, just leaves the 10. Her favorite pro bowler, Ryan Barnes, down there bowling at Wichita State with her brother. And she lets another one slip off into the moat. So Ann Harms finishes with a 173. She extends her congratulations to Ethan Gonzalez, who's now moving on to match 2. He'll face our number 3 qualifier, Lane Gosser, when we return after this. Four open frames by Ann Harms proved costly in her match against Ethan Gonzalez. She missed the 6-10 in the first frame, the 2-4-5 in the third, and a pair of 10 pins later in the match. The 2 10 pins and the 6-10 in the opening frame were all missed to the right, so she might want to work on those right corner spares the next time she's practicing. Meanwhile, after a split in the first frame led to an open, Ethan tightened things up and was clean the rest of the way, leading to a solid 202 to 173 victory. So, it's Ethan Gonzalez who wins our opening match and now has climbed into match 2, where his next opponent is our number 3 qualifier, Lane Gosser of Baldwin City, Kansas. Lane is making his first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. He's the higher qualifier, so he had the option and has elected to let Ethan start the match. Usually when a player makes that selection, it's because they want to finish first and put the pressure on their opponent. Ethan starts with a strike. One of the better shots he's thrown today. Watch it again. Love his free and loose arm swing. There's no tension in that swing. That's the way it's done, boys and girls. All right, Lane Gosser. Ah, goodness. Looked like a pretty good shot. It just finished behind the head pin a little bit. And now he's left with the 210. You never like to start with a split, but at least he's left one that he can make. Put the ball on the left side of the 2 pin, throw the 2 over into the 10. Oh! What a great try. But all for naught. And that 9 out, we add to his 12 pins of handicap. That gives him 21 in the first frame. Lane, by far the youngest player in our 5-player stepladder field today. He's just 14. And he nearly left another 210. The 10 goes out. And he's left with just the 2 pin. His mom says he's been bowling since he could walk. And he was about 2.5 or so when he bowled in his first league. Oh no. You don't like to see that. It was almost the same shot he threw at the 210, just missing the 2. But back-to-back opens to start, not what he had in mind. And Ethan Gonzalez with another strong ball in the second frame, but not rewarded as he leaves a ringing 10. And another easy spare for Ethan. Couple of stepladder final appearances, well, 3 of them this year for Ethan. In November, he was on Prodigy in Division 2 when he qualified 5th, finished 3rd. Then in January, when we were in Lawrence, he qualified 4th and finished 5th. Last month, in May, he qualified 3rd and finished 4th. And now here we are at the KCO Invitational with his 4th appearance in the stepladder finals for the season. That's a pretty solid year. And a good cover of a potentially tricky spare, the 1-8. We don't see that all that often, but he made it look a little easier than it really is. That's a better ball by Lane Gosser, but just a pinch high. He doesn't get the action on the 4 pin, so he'll have another spare to shoot at here. He should be able to take care of this one. He's got 1 tournament win to his credit. Oh, no. I guarantee he didn't win that tournament missing spares like he's missing them here. Wow. Well, you see Briley, Walschlager, Monty make that spare on the lane to our left. That's Division 5 over there. They're bowling Division 4 to our right. We'll recap their stepladders at the end of the show. There's a strike for Lane. More like what he had in mind. But now he's got a bit of a mountain to climb. He can do it, though. Still early in the match. He's got the right idea getting through the ball. I'd just like to see his hand a little bit lower on the ball. We may be able to get a better look at it a little later on. Well, Ethan let that one out the back door. It almost ran away. Could have been worse, though. Could have been a 2-8-10. 2-8, much more manageable spare. Tricky, though. But for somebody with his spare game, I don't expect him to miss spares like that. Having a dad who is a bowling coach, I think, has been a great benefit to Ethan. I know his dad is pretty involved. And, you know, that's what you usually see with kids who do well in sports. They've got involved parents. Well, I think he maybe would have liked to have been a little more involved with that shot, but that one doesn't quite get up, and now he's got the washout. The 1-2-10 can be made. Here's where you want to put the ball. Throw that 1 pin over into the 10. The ball will get the 2. But he gets much too much of the head pin. So that's an open, and that will bring Lane Gosser right back into the match. So despite starting with 3 open frames, he can bring this down to a 1-pin match if he can strike here in the 5th and put a double up. Oh, no. He comes up short with his toss and leaves. Well, this is an ugly thing. This is the full washout with everything you want going on. The 1-2-4-8-10. You make it just like you'd make the 1-2-10, but you got a little more going on over there. And he does the same thing Ethan did, just gets the head pin right on the face, and that's no way to make the washout. So an open frame, and he hands those pins that Ethan gave to him right back. So through the first 5 frames, Lane has 1 strike and 4 opens. That's not a recipe for success. There you go. That was a good shot. Right in the swish zone. Here's his footwork, 5-step approach. Little drift to the left. Look at how that foot is pointed straight forward. Now, I'd like to see the ball a little closer to his ankle and see how his hand is on top of the ball. I'd like to have his fingers below the equator of the ball and more behind the ball, not so much on the side and the top. But he'll learn to do that as he gets a little bigger, a little stronger. Keep that elbow in tighter. Oh, man. Ethan thinking, what do I have to do to get a strike? That one could have gone, but he's got the 10 pin. He won't have any problem with this. He's money on those. Well, Ethan says when he grows up, he wants to go into gaming design. So he's got his eyes on the future there. Good for him. Well, he's having a little trouble with this left lane. All the players are. You pull it a little left, and it never finds the friction on the outside of the lane. Here at the KCO Invitational, Olathe Lanes East usually runs the lanes, re-oils them before the stepladder finals. We don't get that treatment at most of the KCOs. So they're bowling on fresh oil in the stepladder instead of bowling on the burn like they do at most of the KCO events all year long. As a result, you get a little over-under where it's drier on the outside, slicker on the inside. When you pull it, you don't send it out into the dry where the ball can find friction. It just hydroplanes never picks up, and you find yourself leaving washouts and 210s and stuff. Lane Gosser nearly had a 5-7 that time, but 5 goes out. He's left with just the 7. Can he make the spare? Come on, Lane. We want to see a spare out of you. Well, okay. The lead grows to 21 for Ethan, and you can see the frustration. You don't even have to see Lane's face. You can read his body language and tell he is growing a little perturbed. But there's still time. 3 frames left, and Ethan's not exactly running away and hiding. Boy, he gave that one just a little bit of room. You saw how it picked up the friction on the outside of the lane, and that one rolled right up into the pocket and was a steamroller going through the pins. See, he got that one out to the right a little bit. As a result, boom. Now he'd like to throw about 2 or 3 more of those when he gets back up. Unless Ethan slams the door shut on him, which Ethan is capable of doing. Watch this. A little light shaker action here. Gets that thing out to about 6 or 7. That was almost a can opener. Okay, I think he is waiting. And he is applauding. That was Rhett Ryman's 12th strike in his 300 game you saw on episode 170 on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. A few lanes down to our right. A lot of excitement down there. Just the second natural 300 we'd ever had on Prodigy. And I don't know if it distracted Ethan, but you saw another shot like we were talking about a moment ago, where he didn't get that ball out to the right far enough for it to find the friction, and it just kind of skidded down the lane, never picked up. Comes in light. He leaves the 2-4-5. And looky here. A little open frame, and all of a sudden, Lane Gosser is within 9 pins, and he has a strike working in the 8th. A strike here in the 9th, and Lane can take the lead heading into the 10th frame. Oh, he got that one out to the right, but he just got it out too far. And it never had a chance to get all the way back, and now he's got a... Well, the 2-8-10 is not impossible, but it's pretty close. Best way to shoot it is try to knock the 2 into the right wall and have it bounce out, hit the 10 into the 8. And that did not make it happen. So, an open frame, and now Lane is in trouble. The best he can do is 151 with 3 strikes in the 10th. That would mean that Ethan would only need 8 pins in the 10th frame to win. Man, I imagine when Lane watches this match, he is really going to kick himself. He had opportunity after opportunity to take this match. And with that, this is Ethan's match now. He's moving on. Lane just couldn't make a spare. He's got one more chance here, the 2-4-5. Come on, let's see you make it. Get up. That's not good. 3 strikes and 7 opens. Have we ever had a match like that where somebody never even got a spare? I'm not sure. I don't remember that ever happening. On Prodigy, anyway. Ethan with a strike in the 10th, just to put an exclamation point on this one, as if there were any room for doubt. Well, Lane will be back. He's just 14. He loves the sport. That's what I look for. He wants to be a pro bowler someday. He's got some nice things going on in his game. He just probably needs to work on his spare shooting a little bit. There's a Brooklyn for Ethan Gonzalez. Lane started the season with a 10th place finish here in Olathe. And then when we went to Gladstone in October, he finished 7th. And that had been his highest finish of the season at the KCO until today. But it's going to be a 4th place finish for Lane Gosser today, as Ethan Gonzalez is moving on yet again. That's 2 matches he's got under his belt, but things get a little tougher against Jonas Tucker, his opponent in match 3, next. There's not a bowling coach in the world who doesn't hammer on this point incessantly, but it bears repeating. Spares may not be the sexy part of bowling, but they are often the part of the game that separates the winners and losers of matches. Lane Gosser did something I don't believe we've ever seen on Prodigy before. He went an entire game without a single spare. 3 strikes and 7 opens. Meanwhile, Ethan Gonzalez gave Lane several opportunities to take control of the match, if only he could convert a spare or 2. So let this be a lesson. When you're practicing your game, it's just as important to practice spares as it is to practice making strikes. I have a feeling we might see Lane again next season at the KCO, and I'm willing to bet we'll see a player who is better at making spares than the one we saw today. But right now, it's Ethan Gonzalez who's moving on to match 3, where he'll now face the 2 seed, Jonas Tucker. We saw Jonas on Prodigy back in February at Crown Lanes in Leavenworth. He finished 5th that day, so he's guaranteed of a higher finish today, no matter what happens. That day he finished 5th, we were covering the Division II stepladder. That's when we were in Leavenworth at Crown Lanes, the bowling center with the dinosaur out front. And Jonas showed us that he can rev the snot out of the ball. Oh my goodness. What a bad break. Comes in light. Probably should have had the 2-8-10, which wouldn't have been any better, but the 8-10, chances are this is heading for an open frame. Yep, 9 out, and he's getting no pins handicap. What that means is his average is bumping up against the top end of the 180 to 199 window that Division II's averages are in, so he gets no pins. And Ethan Gonzalez, boy, he has thrown some today that you'd think that has to be a strike. And I don't know how the 7-pin stood up that time, but it did. But are you going to bet against Ethan Gonzalez making this spare? The way he has showed us he can cover spares pretty routinely. I like his chances. And there you go. Well, we've talked about some of the families that we have that bowl the KCO. I've talked about the Bowling Coleman family, but I don't think the Gonzalez family takes a back seat to anybody. You got Ethan Gonzalez, and then you got his three cousins, the three Gonzalez sisters. Bella, who you've seen on Prodigy, run the step ladder. Her older sisters have not made the show, but they are steady performers in the KCO. Layla, the left-hander, and her older sister, Kiara, who is aging out this summer, so we won't get her unless she comes back and bowls as an adult in one of the adult youth doubles tournaments, which I guess is the only way we will get Ethan back again, unless he happens to win today and then comes back to bowl the Prodigy TOC on the 23rd of June. Well, he'll have to get past this young man, Jonas Tucker, and then our tournament leader, Peyton Tryon, to have that opportunity. Jonas Tucker says he started bowling when he saw the PBA on TV at his grandma's house. And it sparked his interest. He's been bowling since he was about a year and a half. I'm guessing he was probably using one of those ramps they make available for the little kids to bowl. Set it on the ramp and just kind of push it down the ramp. Man, he can really make the pins dance. I've seen messengers and I've seen messengers, but that was a crazy messenger. Watch this, five-step approach. A little distance between the ball and his ankle when he lets it go, or he'd have even more power. That's a scary thought. Tenpin thought about standing, but no, that was not going to happen. Incredibly, his best game is just 279. I'm not throwing shade on a 279. That's usually 11 strikes. But he will have higher games in his future sooner rather than later. Best series, 728. I guarantee you he'll beat that. He may beat that before the end of the season. This guy could go off and string strikes like anybody. He just needs to rein it in a little bit, get a little more control, and then he's liable to be dangerous. He's 16. And it's almost inconceivable how somebody with that much power could leave a weak 10. But you just saw it. Splice that little part of the show out and send it to Ripley's Believe It or Not. In addition to bowling, he is in band at school. He's a drummer for the marching band. He looks like a musician. Looks a little like a drummer, now that I think about it. And he's won all district honorable mention for concert band. So who knows? He wants to be a pro lighting tech. So he's obviously got the creative bent. And I'm always supportive of kids with that going on. Well, that's not where you want to throw it for the 10 pin. 2 opens and 1 strike, and He's spotting Ethan Gonzalez 8 pins, and Ethan has a pair of spares and a 29-pin lead. And now a strike working. So, Jonas, I would button up and fasten your seatbelt. Maybe the best thing about Ethan's game is how steady his head is through the release. It just doesn't move. All of the great bowlers have that in common. It's not often talked about. You very rarely hear them mention it on the PBA TV telecast. They used to talk about it years ago. But the steady head is super important. For one thing, by keeping your head steady through release, you're able to keep your eyes steady. When your head's bobbing all around, it's hard to keep your eyes on your target. And if you can't keep your eyes on the target, how are you going to hit it? Steady head. Cannot emphasize enough how important it is. See how Jonas's head jumps a little bit at the release? You see that a lot with two-handers. They have so much power, though, they can get away with being a board or two off. Let's take a look at Jonas's game. At the bottom of the swing, the ball is left of his head. At the top of the swing, it's left of his head. And at the release, it's right below his head. See the big gap between the ball and his ankle? If he would get that ball closer to his ankle, his elbow closer to his body, he'd have that ball to the left of his head at release, just like he does at those other two checkpoints. He gives up, believe it or not, he gives up a little power and leverage with that move at the bottom where he opens up that gap between his leg and the ball. It is hard to fathom him with even more power than what he has, but he could have even more power. And more importantly, he could have a little better direction. So I'll tell you what, when he's on, he could throw telephone numbers at you. Ethan Gonzalez says, I got your area code right here, buddy. He's steady. There's nothing flashy about Ethan Gonzalez, but he will bore you to tears with strikes and spares. And then at the end of the match, you look up and he got you by 20 or 30 pins. I've seen him do this again and again. And he rips the rack on that one. Boy. Apparently he's worn in just enough of a track right there in that section of the lane. It's this part of the lane where the ball was hydroplaning. It was not getting up to the pocket. But watch it here. He only throws that out to about 12, but it's going to have enough power on the back end to send that 5 over into the 7. The ripper. That little guy you see on lane 6 is Carter Reese with that release with two hands off his chest like a basketball pass. He's pretty good with it. And he finds himself in the championship match in Division 5. All right, Jonas Tucker working on a double, but trailing by 49. He needs to keep this string going. Just got it a little too wide, and this time the ball did react. It didn't stay out there and went through the nose. Lucky he didn't leave a split. The 6-10. There you go. Jonas with a spare in the 6th, but man, he needs to string them. I don't think spares are going to get it done. Trailing by 51 in the 6th frame. Ethan working on a 4-bagger. He looks pretty locked in. Well, Jonas ran the Division 4 stepladder in 2022 in October at the KCO for one of his KCO titles. He has 3. 2 of them in Division 4, 1 in Division 5. He's better now. Well, he didn't get that one out near as wide as some of the others. And it just sort of set in the oil, but you could see that ball churning all the way down. Here he is, 5-step approach. Here's his footwork, little drift to the left. He plants, he doesn't slide, out to about 12 at the break point. And, I mean, those pins better run and hide. Look at Ethan Gonzalez stringing a 5-bagger. Just not a lot to go wrong with his game. Would I like to see him get the ball a little closer to his ankle? Well, yeah. If he kept his elbow a little closer to his body, coming through the swing, that would help. But he's got a 6-bagger. He's doing something right. He's doing a lot right. Watch this. Watch the 6-pin. Lay down in the channel, and something else flew out from the back to get the 10-pin. What was that? That was a strike, is what that was. Well, Jonas, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is you're trailing by 71 pins. The good news is it'll be over soon. And you can go bang on your drum. He's probably feeling like banging on something right now. He'd like to bang on the 1-3 pocket right here. But instead he goes high. And really, that's what Jonas needs to work on, is just gaining a little more control. He could give up some power in return for a little more accuracy, a little more control. It would make him a better all-around player. Like I said, if he ever learns to get control of his ball, baby, look out. I don't know that there are many Division I players at the KCO who throw more ball than Jonas Tucker. He spent some time this season in Division I, quite a bit of time actually. He's kind of bounced between Division I and Division II. Crossing over, getting another strike. Jonas started in September, qualifying in the 3rd position, finishing 4th. That was in Division II, and then he got rated up to Division I, where he bowled in October and November. And then he moved back down to Division II in February. He was back up in Division 1 in March and May, and now here he is at the KCO Invitational in June, back in Division 2. So there's no telling where he'll be when the season starts in September. Ethan with the 3-6-10, but he has already put this match away. And he can be in the 260s with a double in the 10th. There's a strike. I know his dad, Michael, has got to be a proud papa right about now. And he should be. On these questionnaire forms I give these kids to fill out before each tournament, the last question I ask them is, share any little factoid about yourself you'd like people to know. And Ethan wrote, "This is my final tournament." I'm assuming he's referring to his final youth bowling tournament. I don't think he's giving up the sport. And oh, by the way, if he were to go on and win this tournament, he only has one more match against Peyton Tryon. If he were to win that, he would be eligible to bowl the Prodigy TOC on the 23rd. Although I think he's making that trip to Europe again this year. He's made it before. One of his best moments in bowling, he says, bowling in Scotland and London. Jonas Tucker with a stone 9, just to tease him a little bit. He covers it, but this is going to be a disappointing finish. I mean, he didn't bowl all that bad. He had 2 opens. One of them, a whiffed single pin spare. He'll end up in the 180s. Oh, he's going to throw a backup ball. Oh, my goodness. One of the most solid strikes he threw the whole match. But it's Ethan Gonzalez who takes match 3, and now he's just one win away from a title. But standing in his way is Peyton Tryon. Nobody likes getting beat by nearly 70 pins, and I'm sure Jonas Tucker is no exception. But I think when he looks back on this match, he'll realize he didn't bowl that bad. A terrible break in the first frame where a light hit resulted in an 8-10 split sort of set the tone. But after that, other than one mistake on a simple spare, he was making strikes most of the game. He just couldn't string more than two together. Meanwhile, his opponent, Ethan Gonzalez, just went off with a six-bagger in the middle of the match. And that was that. But Jonas has another year of eligibility ahead, so we probably haven't seen the last of him on Prodigy. I hope not. But now Ethan Gonzalez can bank his third win of the day, as he has made it to the championship match and is now just one more win away from duplicating what his cousin Bella Gonzalez did on Prodigy a few months ago when she ran the Division IV stepladder here in this very same bowling center back at the KCO March Point Tournament. But standing in Ethan's way is Peyton Tryon, who won the Division III crown at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas, when we were there for the KCO January Point Tournament. On that day, Peyton uncorked a little 258 net against Damian Burns in the title match, similar to what Ethan just did to Jonas Tucker. So if we can get the best out of these two guys, we could be in for one whale of a match. You want to talk about commitment? This is the 11th and final KCO of the season. Both of these players have bowled in 9 of them, and they would love to win their last one. Well, Peyton Tryon puts one right through the snoot to begin. Nearly had the 7-10 split. The 10 rocked out and fell over. He's left with just the 7. Oh, and he whiffs it. Well, that's not the start he wanted. As you can see, Peyton's average kind of at the low end of the 180 to 199 window that Division II bowlers are in, so he gets 17 pins handicap added into his score in the first frame. And Ethan Gonzalez also threw the nose. And he breaks up the split and has the 6-10. And after I've been bragging about his spare shooting all day long, he misses the 6-10 by about 10 feet. That was in the gutter at about the 48-foot mark. Not what I expected. And he trails by 10. Handicap is all added in now. Well, hits in that light shaker area, but the 7 didn't go. But now this is a spare I would expect Ethan to gobble up. Well, I don't know what he was thinking that time. He threw that ball about 60% the speed that he would throw at most spares. Just trying to give it a little extra juice to get it to hook to the left side of the lane. I would never recommend shooting spares that way. And that's back-to-back opens, and Peyton Tryon with a 21-pin lead. And he hits the swish area, but didn't have quite enough power on it to get that 5-pin to blow over into the 10. So he's left the 10-pin. You see Josiah Starr lamenting a gutter ball there. That's Division V on our left. Division IV, I think, is almost finished on the right. We will recap their stepladders after we visit with our winner here, whoever that is, Peyton or Ethan. Josiah Starr there on the lane to our left, bowling against little Carter Reese. That should be an interesting match. And I think they're done already in Division 4 to our right. Peyton finds the pocket with that one, buries him. Five-step approach. He comes up the back of the ball. I think the last time we saw him, he was coming around the side of it a little bit more. That's good. I'd like to see him get the fingers a little lower, below the equator, but one thing at a time. How about that one right there? That ball just went through the pins like a hot knife through butter. There's a lot to like with Ethan's game. I would like to see that ball under his head instead of out to the right so that he doesn't have this gap between the ball and his left ankle. That's really the only thing that I see in his game that I'd really like to see him work on. But if he were to correct that, he'd be really good. He's pretty good now. This is where he gets into a little bit of trouble sometimes. He'll either lose concentration or I don't know if he runs out of juice or what, but he's had this pair pretty much figured out. I mean, he just shot 250 on it in the last game, and now here he is with two opens, a strike, and a spare, and it's like he's kind of lost his look, but let's see if he can regroup. He's just trailing by 21. Peyton up in the fourth, working on a strike. Ugh. Wow, can't throw it any better than that. The stone 10, like what a right-hander would get when he had a stone 7. Frustration, that's what you get. Thinking to yourself, I can't throw it any better than that. Did you just see that? He just threw that two-handed. And that's what I just scolded Ethan for doing, trying to throw the big hook at, well, for Ethan, he was shooting at the 7-pin and he hooked past it. Peyton shooting at the 10-pin, same difference, but for a left-hander. And he goes with the two-handed shot to give it a little extra hook. Now, he threw it with normal speed, whereas Ethan was throwing it at about half speed. Peyton converted his spare, but keep an eye on that. I didn't know he could throw it two-handed. I know he can throw those one-handed. I've seen him do it. Little light shaker, the wall shot. I loves me some light shakers. Well, Ethan must love them too, because now he's got one. I think what he'd like to do now is put another one up right behind this one and cut into Peyton's lead a little bit. The ball's going to rip through the rack and get the 5-pin. The head pin will go to the left wall and get the 4 and 7. Get up. Oh, it tried to get up. Almost rolled the 2 from behind. That's a missed opportunity. A double would have cut the lead to 11. Now, Peyton will get a chance to extend the lead because he's got to strike up. All right. Don't be messing around with those single pin spares, trying to throw the big hook ball at him. Just knock him down. No need to get fancy. And there's another light shaker, and boy, it couldn't have been timed any better. Peyton puts a strike behind the strike he had in the fifth. That double extends his lead to 31 pins. All right, here's his footwork. Five-step approach, little drift to the right. That ball right next to his ankle at release. I thought he may have let that one get away a little bit, but no, that was a perfect line to catch that light shaker. Can he get three in a row? Nope, goes through the nose. That will shrink the lead to 28 as he loses 3 pins in count. And now, dare I say it, a choppable spare, the 2-4-7. See how he shoots this. He uses his strike ball, so he's going to hook at it. Got to be careful with this one. No, he sent it too wide. And there's an unforced error. An open frame. Lead down to 16. And now if Ethan can put a couple of strikes up on the board, it's game on. The wall shot close. But the 7-pin remains. Now, the last time he had this spare, he hooked by it. I'll bet he doesn't throw it slow like that again. Oh, no. Well, he didn't throw it slow again, but he misses it to the right this time. And, boy, who is this guy? This isn't the Ethan Gonzalez we've been watching all afternoon. Comes in thin. And now he's got another missable spare, the 2-7 baby split. Usually this is the left-hander's baby split. For a right-hander, it's really not that hard. Just put the ball somewhere on the left side of the 2-pin. It'll deflect over into the 7. There you go. But boy, he has left the door wide open for Peyton Tryon. Take another look at that conversion of what can be a little tricky spare, but for a right-hander, it's not really too bad. He makes short work of it, though. Makes it look easier than it is. But now Peyton with a chance to put this away. Well, it's like he threw that one a little extra slow. I'm not sure why. Once again, he was in that half pocket or swish zone, but the 5-pin just didn't have the energy to get over and get the 10. And he goes two-handed at it again and makes it again. So maybe that's a thing for him. Shooting at right side spares two-handed. I've not seen him do that before. Peyton says E.J. Tackett is his favorite pro bowler, and he got started bowling because a baseball coach that he played for bought him and the whole team bowling balls. How cool is that? And obviously Peyton has learned how to roll it. Although I'm not so sure that's the same ball the baseball coach bought him, but that's the best shot he's thrown this match. Look at how close that ball is to his ankle. You see the ball not only under his head, but even a little inside of that, a little closer to his ankle. That is ideal. And if it was any closer to his ankle, boy, he would feel it. Believe me, you don't want to hit that little bone on the inside of your ankle. You will never forget it. Ethan Light with that one, and his chances are, it's getting down to slim and none time. The 2-4. If he makes this and throws 3 strikes in the 10th, he shoots 181. Peyton is sitting at 171 right now before throwing another ball. So he wouldn't even need a mark. He just needs 6 pins. So Ethan Gonzalez, who has had one heck of a day on the lanes today, winning the first 3 matches in our stepladder finals, he's going to need 3 strikes here in the 10th, and then he's going to need for Peyton Tryon to be abducted by extraterrestrials. And without the 3 strikes, the extraterrestrials will be unnecessary. Peyton Tryon has won the KCO Invitational in Division 2. Ethan Gonzalez is our runner-up. And I guess there's some symmetry to that. Our other show that we did this month from the KCO Invitational, we had an Ethan as the runner-up in that. Ethan Deal in Division 1. So with a strike on the fill ball, it's going to be a 167 for Ethan Gonzalez. Not what he had in mind. But as I always say, second place is not nothing. It's his best finish at the KCO all year. 166. And no matter how you slice it, it's been a great day for Ethan Gonzalez. But it's an even better day for Peyton Tryon, who wins his second KCO of the season, and he wins the biggest one of them all, the KCO Invitational, where the payout with scholarship prizes is by far the biggest of the season. This young man, 16 years old, he will turn 17 next month. Been bowling since he was 8. Career high game 279. Somehow I have a feeling he's going to beat that. Maybe in the next year. Maybe on Prodigy next year. Who knows? Another ripper. 221 with a strike. All right, 219. That'll do. It's good enough for a title, the KCO Invitational. And, oh yeah, we get one more signature on the coveted trophy pin. It'll be from Peyton Tryon. Well, I'm not sure exactly what happened to Ethan Gonzalez that last match. Maybe he just ran out of gas. Or maybe after that big game in his third match, it just took it out of him. Whatever the cause, Ethan just made a few too many uncharacteristic mistakes on spares, and Peyton Tryon strung together just enough strikes to put some distance between them. So it's Peyton Tryon who fended off his challenger and is the final signature that'll go on the 2023-24 coveted trophy pin. And I'd say there's no time like the present to sit down with him and get him to sign it. On the face of the Prodigy Bowlers Tour coveted trophy pin, if you look down here, you find the name Peyton Tryon, dated 1/7/24. He won in Lawrence that day, and today he won at the KCO Invitational, the biggest tournament of the year on the KCO. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What happened out there? You just derailed the Ethan Gonzalez Express.
I mainly just focused on each frame and took deep breaths before I threw every time, and just hoping that I would be able to either leave the frame with a mark.
Well, you left most of them with marks.
Yep.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, where do you bowl?
Gladstone.
Oh, okay. That may be why I was thinking earlier when we were talking before we started the interview. I was thinking you won in Gladstone, but no, we know you won in Lawrence now.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's quite something. So you're already eligible for the Prodigy Tournament of Champions. We can't give you a second spot in the tournament, but we can have you sign the coveted trophy pin a second time. And there's some satisfaction in that. So pick a color, any color.
I'll take blue because that's my school colors.
Okay, I like that. My school color was blue and yellow.
Sorry.
All right. The only lefty on the show today, I believe?
No.
You don't know, you were too busy practicing over there to pay any attention to who else was bowling.
I forgot the date.
Today is 6/2, thank you. Tina, you're making your nationwide television appearance. Well, looks like your dad is also filming, and we've got others. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
As I mentioned during the show, the bowlers to our left on lanes 5 and 6 were the Division 5 group. And here's how their stepladder played out. In match 1, the number 4 qualifier, Willow Burns, defeated the number 5 qualifier, Brianna Wanina, 179 to 143. In match 2, Willow eked out a close one over the 3 seed, Briley Walschlager Monty, 138 to 137. But then in match 3, little Carter Reese knocked Willow Burns out of the competition with a 173 to 121 victory. And that set up the championship match, where Carter Reese pulled off an upset against the tournament leader, Josiah Starr, who won the Division 5 title the previous month in St. Joseph. But on this day, Carter took the win 180 to 147. So congratulations to Carter Reese for winning the Division 5 title and punching his ticket to the Prodigy TOC. And as I mentioned earlier, the players to our right on lanes 9 and 10 were the Division 4 group. Here's how their stepladder played out. In the opening match, the 4 seed Emma Powers defeated the 5 seed Grady Groom 195 to 164. Then in match 2, Emma continued her winning ways, defeating the 3 seed Little Adam Wilson 153 to 139. In match 3, Emma uncorked a big game to defeat the 2 seed Lily Fuhr 195 to 146. But then in the championship match, Emma Powers' attempt to run the stepladder came up a little short against the tournament leader Bella Gonzalez, who took the title 182 to 170. So congratulations to Bella Gonzalez, Ethan's cousin, for winning the title in Division 4 today. On our last episode of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, we told you about the Division 3 stepladder and how Bryce Isaacson defeated Isabel Young in the final match to get into the Prodigy TOC at the 11th hour. And you saw the phenomenal stepladder finals in Division 1, where Rhett Ryman became just the second player ever to roll a natural 300 game on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. And then Nolan Nash took the title, winning from the number 1 position in a thriller over Ethan Deal. So congratulations to all 5 winners at the 2024 KCO Invitational. In Division 5, Carter Reese. In Division 4, Bella Gonzalez. In Division 3, Bryce Isaacson. In Division 2, Peyton Tryon. And in Division 1, Nolan Nash, who took the title for the 2nd year in a row at the KCO Invitational. This was the final Kansas City Open tournament of the 2023-24 bowling season. The 2024-25 season, the KCO's 30th season, begins in September. If you'd like to learn more about the Kansas City Open or would like to see the new schedule or download entry forms, visit their website at www.kansascityopen.com. But this season's KCO champions have one more tournament on their calendar. The Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions is slated for June 23rd, and we'll bring you all the exciting action to see who gets past the nerve-wracking single ball elimination wildcard round and who can win the handicap and scratch division stepladders to claim the Hunter Moffett Award and the Charles Bostic Award. And of course, who will survive the final showdown to claim the coveted trophy pin. And we'll also announce the winner of the 2023-24 PBAA Player of the Year Award. You do not want to miss a minute of episode 172 of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Look for it to drop in early July, about the time junior bowlers and their families will be heading off to Detroit for Junior Gold. In the meantime, if you like this video, leave a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to receive notifications whenever we post new content. Also, be sure to leave a comment down below. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm to help us grow the channel. Just don't leave any spoilers. If you'd like to support the creative work that goes into producing Prodigy Bowlers Tour, become a Prodigy patron. For just $5 a month, you'll get early access to all our full-length shows. And for $10 a month, you'll get early access and you'll also get your name in the closing credits as an executive producer. You know, just like the bigwigs in Hollywood do. Go to www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and follow the instructions to become a Prodigy patron. You'll have my undying thanks. And for all things Prodigy, even in the off-season, join the Prodigy Facebook group. From any page on Facebook, type Prodigy Bowlers Tour into the search bar and hit enter. That'll take you to a page where you'll be presented with a series of screening questions. Just answer them and submit your request to join the group. And then you'll stay up to date with what's happening behind the scenes with Prodigy. So that's it from the KCO Invitational. We have just one more stop on the Prodigy Bowlers Tour calendar this season, and that's the Prodigy Tournament of Champions. Watch for episode 172 coming soon to a browser near you. In the meantime, this is Coach Randy, reminding you to stay behind the foul line. Don't blow yourself up on the 4th of July, and I'll talk to you next time from the Prodigy TOC. Now, go get your bowl on.